Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Weeb here, back with another episode for something on the channel. I haven't posted in a week. I hope you guys like this. This will be one of my first ever anime reviews, kind of. So this will be a recap of what happens during the anime of The Rising of the Shield Hero. But anyway, it should be around 15 minutes or a bit like a 10-minute recap. So this is just because I know the next season will be coming out soon or in like next year. But I decided I'd make a recap since I watched the anime and I've rewatched it again recently. So I decided it might be a good idea to, make this video. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like what I'm doing here on the second channel, make sure to hit the like button, comment down below what you think, and subscribe to me for more videos on anime, story time, gaming, and whatever. We'll be having some more gaming videos coming out next month. That should be pretty fun. So yeah. Anyway, let's just get right into the review of the anime, The Rising of the Shield Hero. We start our story off with a character that we come to know is named Naofumi. Naofumi is your typical protagonist wearing his tracksuit, kind of, you know, like the types from other isekai anime. However, this main character is not your ReZeros or Konosuba or Sao or whatnot. It's a bit different in the fact that this main protagonist, well, in similar to Konosuba-like fashion, is pretty abused. We start off the story with him going down to the library due to him being a fan of books, and he looks around and eventually finds one, which he reads, which would be his downfall, I guess you could say, which is when he reads about the four cardinal heroes. This is where we actually get into the show, where Naofumi is summoned as the Shield Hero. Well, unknown to Naofumi, however, the Shield Hero has some prejudice against him, which we'll get back to later. Anyway, the Shield Hero gets out of this magical circle when he sees some priest guys, and he turns around to see three other guys there who seem to be about high school and college age. Naofumi himself is around 23 years old, so he's in college, and he is probably one of the oldest ones there. Anyway, this is when he's introduced to the sword, spear, and bow hero for the first time. Instantly, the other three seem to be more about a game life. They seem to be comparing it to some sort of video game that they had in their world. This is when all four of the heroes are sent to the king's chambers, where they begin to meet with King Melromark. Oh yeah, by the way, this kingdom is the kingdom of Melromark, and they're summoned in the royal castle. As soon as the four quartet of them head up to the top layer of the castle, that's where they meet the king. The king, with almost no hesitation, as well as basically showing it up right off the start, his hostility towards the Shield Hero, immediately is praising the other three, while almost ignoring what Naofumi has to say all the time. Naofumi and the others would introduce themselves as well as their ages and what grades they are in school, and this is where they discover the ages for the other heroes. This is a very key moment only because Naofumi discovers he's the oldest one there, which gives him a sense of responsibility. Naofumi, as well as the rest of the characters in Shield Hero, are very different from your regular isekai characters in the fact that, in my opinion, with only having 24 episodes to build up on them, they do a splendid job of building character and personality traits. Anyway, moving on from here, after this takes place, the king decides to take and give party members to the heroes. The way it's going to work, however, is that the party members actually get to choose their heroes. So, that's how it worked. Naofumi, as well as the other heroes, then had people choose them. Naofumi, with no surprise, had none of the other adventurers choose to be in his party, which gives him a severe disadvantage, as the shield, which is his weapon that he has, is unable to come off him, so he can't, and he also cannot equip any attack or offensive weapons, which severely limits him in a battle. Naofumi is pretty pissed off already, as he was surprised that he's being treated unfairly for no reason. Graciously, it seems, one of the other adventurers decides to switch parties from the Spear Hero, and decides to switch to the Shield Hero's party, out of pity, it seems. This girl would be called by Naofumi in the actual light novels and manga that she was beautiful, which we come to regret later. Anyway, her name is Malti, and her last name is Melromark, the daughter of the king, which is unknown to Naofumi at the time. Naofumi would then head off his party of him and her, as they decide to get equipment. They're given gold bags from the king for each party, with Naofumi receiving slightly more gold than the other heroes due to him not having a party of as many numbers from to count on. So this is when Naofumi heads out of the kingdom, the castle, and heads towards the weapon shop. The other heroes decides to go on their way as well, which is when they learn that they have the weapon replication skill, which Naofumi will not learn about until around the second or around the fifth arc, you could say, but the second half of the season. Naofumi and his new party member would go into this weapons shop, and as they do so, they decide to equip some armor. Naofumi would pay and purchase armor for him as well as Malty herself, as well as get her a better weapon. Then they would head out to try and get some orange balloons and kill them. They would try their best and basically kill a few things, but that's when they decide to head back to the bar for the night. Or the inn, you could say. Naofumi and Malty would then head back when Malty tries to coerce Naofumi into drinking with her. Naofumi, who actually does not drink and has a high resistance to alcohol, decides that he's good and he doesn't want to drink. This is kind of against her plan, as she had a plan to betray him the whole time. As he goes to sleep, the door she opens and takes all of his equipment, except for the shield, of course, and a bit of money that he had spared inside of it due to him being a kind of a pack-away person, just like in the real world. Malty had taken all of the gold as well as his armor and everything else he had purchased the night before. Naofumi, who had no idea, rushes into her room and is wondering if she's alright, thinking that they must have gotten robbed. As Naofumi then is taken apprehended by the guards, he is then blamed for having committed bad sexual acts on Malty. Malty then, as she's saying that he did all these heinous crimes, sticks her tongue out at him, which is when he realizes that he's been betrayed. This is when the Shield Hero's story really becomes unique, as Naofumi actually just loses the brightness in his eyes. You can really tell the difference between this episode and the next one, because after this episode, he basically trusts no one. Anyway, the Shield Hero is then marked as the Devil of the Shield for doing terrible things, and basically is even worsely treated by the King. The King basically casts him out and tells him that you kill him if he wasn't a hero. This is when the Shield Hero basically goes back to that weaponsmith guy who thinks that he did something terrible just like everyone else, but Naofumi convinces him, seemingly. This is when he gives the Shield Hero some equipment and tells him to be on his way. Naofumi would then head out on his own, and this is when he begins to devise his plan to gain his own attack weapons. Naofumi would continue onwards until he eventually gained enough of a way and figured out how to make money. Due to his high defensive stat, he could use the orange balloons and keep them inside of his cloak. He used this to threaten merchants so that way he could sell his herbs in other stores to make money. After saving up for a long time, he actually was interrupted by a slave merchant. The slave merchant would then take him to his crop of slaves, and this is where we are introduced to the second main protagonist of the Shield Hero. This is when we finally meet Raftalia. Raftalia was sickly and dying, as she was a Fenrir, I believe, and as being an animal girl, demi-humans in this world are treated poorly in the nation of Melmark at least, and the other nations all have their own different customs. Naofumi would purchase her as a slave, and the slave curse would be imbued on her, giving her basically no control over what Naofumi told her to do. Naofumi didn't abuse her like what most people would expect, though. Instead, Naofumi trained her and fed her well, and eventually Raftalia would grow up and actually level up. Raftalia and Naofumi would travel around the forest and other lands, slowly killing off monsters and gaining more experience, both of them leveling up now that they were in a party. This is where, after a while, Raftalia is treated more like Naofumi's daughter, and we get all those moments from the anime where he takes her out for food. This is when Naofumi actually begins to make someone who's a real friend with him in this world. Raftalia would admire the Shield Hero a lot due to her past of what happened to her parents as well as her home when they got raided by the waves. Another thing I have to mention, the waves of catastrophe are the main problem in this world. Basically, the heroes have to deal with these waves of monsters that spawn into the world after a large storm comes in on the edges of, as well as different villages around the entire nations. This affects the entire world and not just a certain nation, though, which the heroes are unaware of as for now. Naofumi, as well as Raftalia, would continue leveling up across the land, waiting for the first wave to take place. After quite a while, Raftalia would actually level up to the point where she grows up to be fully mature or appears an adult. Now that they have enough money, they actually go back to that same weaponsmith shop from earlier that I mentioned, and they buy equipment from him. So now Raftalia, who's much older and stronger, has a much bigger sword, and also has overcome her fear of blood. As I mentioned before, her parents and village had been slaughtered by some attack on the waves, which Naofumi had helped deal with her nightmares. Raftalia and Naofumi would then continue his training until the first wave. And that's pretty much the first quarter of the Rising of the Shield Hero. If you guys want another part for part 2 for what happens during a recap of the Rising of the Shield Hero, sorry this took a lot longer than I expected to explain a lot of stuff, but I'll be getting to part 2 if people like this one, and hope you guys like it. And if you do, make sure, like I said before, hit the like button, blah, 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 self-promotion. You know how it is. Anyway, I'll see you later. I'm out. Bye.